Welcome parents, families, and students. I'm Ryan Madsen. I'm the lead teacher at Virtual Academy, and I'll be providing a preview of our health course. Now, Virtual Academy teaches the health course a little bit differently from the way it's taught at the other high schools within the district. In other ways, we also teach it exactly the same. And the way we teach it exactly the same is we all follow the curriculum that is advised by the California Department of Education. In fact, all high schools across the state of California follow this curriculum as is legally required by the California Department of Education. So we'll be talking about some of the elements of that course, and then most importantly, we'll encourage you to reach out to us with any questions that you might have. Now, one of the first things we'll provide is this letter that you see in front of you here. This is a letter from the district that gives an overview of the health curriculum. And it goes into a few details about some of the topics that will be included in that curriculum. Now, one thing you'll see mentioned in this letter that will be slightly different at Virtual Academy is it will talk about a health preview night. It's been our experience at Virtual Academy, because our students come from so many directions and in some cases quite a long ways away, we found that it's most effective to create a video and then have parents and families reach out when they have questions beyond what's covered in the video. Now, along with the video, as you know, you'll have a link, and that link will have some documents with it that will help you to understand more about the health course. Now, I want to, first of all, just show you how the health course will be completed by your student. And this is important to understand because the health course will be partially an online course. Okay, so let me just bring up an example of what your student will be doing. So this is an example of a video that your student will watch as part of the health course. The videos are created by certificated teachers who are in front of a camera, similar to what I'm doing right now, and they're talking about the topics that are covered in the health course. And so let me give you an example of how that would be. This person you see up here in the top right is a certificated teacher, and he is right now talking about physical health and especially fitness.
One of the key ideas in this entire lesson is community. And communities are groups of people who communicate with each other and share other characteristics in common. For example, your group of friends, the people that you know at school or in your church and your clubs, that forms a small community that we're going to talk more about. Most people actually belong to several communities. Some of those communities might even be online, correct? And furthermore, communities play a key role in nutrition and physical fitness.
So
our goals for this lesson are to...
That just gives you an idea of how those courses are delivered. So your student will work through these. He or she can work through them at home or at school during tutorial or during the mandatory days when we are not covering other topics. Now, most of the course will be done through this online format. And just so that you're aware, the name of this course is Edgenuity. And I'll show you how to spell that and everything so you can look up and read more about it and just understand better how that course will be delivered. Now, we will have mandatory days in classes. On those mandatory days, we'll cover things and we'll do activities that are better performed in class rather than online. So a good example of that is within the first aid unit, students are required to learn CPR. And the method of CPR that they learn is the hands-only or compression-only CPR, which means they don't learn the mouth-to-mouth part of CPR that many of us have learned in the past. And so they'll simply do the chest compressions, which a lot of times is shown to be more effective because the person performing the CPR doesn't have a concern about communicable diseases. So what we have is we have dummies that the district has purchased, and we'll be practicing compression-only CPR on those dummies as part of the health course. And I find that one's really valuable, obviously in many situations throughout life. Now, the one other thing I want to show you before we conclude here is this document called the Scope and Sequence of the California Contemporary Health Course. And of course, this is published by Edgenuity. What this is it goes through and talks about every unit that is covered in the health course, and it goes actually into every lesson and talks about the objectives of each lesson. So this will be a really good tool for families to be able to understand exactly what's covered. And I think this can be really valuable because it gives a chance to reinforce those topics at home and potentially incorporate other discussion around those topics. For example, how they align with the values of the family and some additional information that might be important. For example, there may be some unique health concerns within your family that could fit very well within some of these topics. So we strongly encourage you to go through these topics and review them as a family. Now, as you're reviewing these topics as a family, there may be a time where you decide as a family that there is a topic that you do not want your son or daughter to participate in. And that is a choice, that's a personal choice that we leave to families. And we respect families and their perspectives on those questions. So if there is a topic that you decide as a family that you want to opt out of, there's a process that you will need to go through to opt out of that portion. And that could be a lesson or it could be a full unit. So what you do in that case is you will go to Patty at the front office and request a form that you fill out in order to indicate which units you would like your student to opt out of. Now, one thing I recommend is if you decide you would like to opt out of a unit, I recommend that you get the form from Patty and then come and talk to me, bringing this same document, this scope and sequence document. The reason I ask you to do that is because we can look at the lessons that you want to opt out of, and then we can make sure that you correctly indicate which unit it is that you don't want your student to participate in. The reason I say that is because on the form, it's a standard form from the district, and the unit titles are not exactly the same as the titles that Edgenuity uses. So I just want to make sure that if there's something that you want to opt out of, that we get it right. And some cases there might be just one lesson a family wants to opt out of. I want to make sure that we do that one lesson and maybe not the whole unit if that's the case. Now, I will note that when you fill that form out, it does need to be approved by the district office. And so once they approve that, then we can let you know that we're good to go on the approach that you've requested. And generally those are approved. So it's not something I don't think you have to worry about whether it's approved. Now, the one thing I do want to make a note of also is that if you opt out, if a student opts out of a lesson or a unit, they will need to do some alternative work to be able to cover the work required to earn the credits, the full credits that are applied to the health class. So you might have something like an additional project, but importantly, it won't be on the topic that unit covered. It would be on one of the topics that you have not opted out of, obviously, because that was the purpose of opting out. So maybe you might opt out of the emotional health unit, for example, but then on the physical fitness unit, we would have you do an extra project in order to cover those credits that would normally be covered under the emotional health unit. I hope this video has been helpful. What I would encourage you to do is when you have questions, please contact the school or send me an email and I will get back to you to provide answers. Additionally, if you actually want to watch some of the videos in Edgenuity, if you schedule a time with me, you can come on campus and I'll log you into my account and you can just watch the video yourself and see exactly what your student would be seeing as they go through each of these lessons. Thank you for taking the time to understand what we're covering in health, and I look forward to working with your student and your family as we explore this important topic about living healthy lifestyles and avoiding illnesses. Thank you.